I make that joke a lot.
All right, you're on.
I'm on. Okay. Hey, everybody. I'm Rob from Rob's Garage. I'm here with Charlie. We're getting silly again, having a great time. We're going to flow some intake manifolds on this Econo W2 head we have here. Charlie tweaked up the intake and exhaust valve on a port, found a nice little gain in CFM. Oh yes, oh yes. So first intake we're going to do is this Holley Street Dominator right here. It has a clover intake and a high roof on the intake port. This is as cast, and if you can see, this has never ever been run. Hold on.
Okay, got it.
Okay, I got this in the direct connection box. That's how old this is. Never run. And it's a street intake manifold because it has a water passage here. Heats up the
plenum.
Yep. And then we have the Mopar M1. Same thing. It's a little bit of a rip-off, but it's not very contoured here.
It's quite sharp, yeah.
Absolutely. They're very similar.
You can see the huge difference right between this one. This is sharp too, but it's been laid back more than that. This one is almost vertical.
Yeah, and this is still as cast. The Holley Street Dominator is brand new out of the box. I did a little, poke.
Well, this one, this one hasn't been touched. This has not been touched.
This is still as cast.
Yep.
Our third manifold is the Mopar M1 Race W2 intake manifold with bosses here for your nitrous or fuel injection, however you feel adventurous, and it is not water heated. And another thing about this intake, it's for the 9.2 deck height block. Stock is 9.6. This is for the 9.2, and they had a shorter one at 9-inch for the race blocks.
This one has been ported. Someone did actually a pretty nice job on it, and I'm sure that'll show up when we do our flow tests.
Yeah, it's kind of nice in there. We have a returning sibling. This looks like the tunnel ram we tested earlier. Not so, not so. It has W2 oval ports down low. Otherwise, it's pretty much identical. Just the outline, the intake ports are oval. That's it.
All right, some quick specs on them. I took the depth of the plenums, okay? 3.38, 3.645, 3.57, 3.53. The race manifold's a touch taller, and the tunnel ram doesn't need to be quite so big because the plenum is absolutely massive. You can see right through to the other side, okay? The engine thinks the whole world is just air and fuel, which is a beautiful thing, really.
It is.
It really is.
I've heard people say, "Oh, I think it's too big," and
no,
I don't know. I would love to know.
The other thing I did is I took the length of the runners. Now, this 4.3, but the runner literally starts right about here, so it's quite short, right? The Mopar Race is 7.5. The Mopar Street is 7.125, and the old Holley Street Dominator is 7.25. So they're all a little bit different. You can see differences in the plenum. This is a relatively flat floor. You can see just a bit of an angle, right here on the side. This one is almost identical to this one. This one looks like the angle is a little bit steeper. This race manifold's got a nice curve. I like the curve myself. I'm partial to a curved floor.
Yeah, there was some work done in there, obviously, like you said,
it
looks really nice.
Whoever did the work looks pretty good. I mean, probably not his first time doing this manifold.
No, it doesn't look like a first rodeo.
No, it doesn't look like a first rodeo. Let's flip them over and take a quick look at them. Okay, we'll flip them upside down to give a quick look. Huge empty valley. Take a look at the unbelievably gorgeous freaking casting this tunnel ram has. I mean, it almost looks like the same texture I put on my ports. It's amazing. And that's right out of the box. Never been touched. They're all that pretty. I can't remember the last time I saw a manifold that was casted that nice. Beautiful. The race manifolds had work done to it, like I said, and whoever did it did a nice job. They look pretty darn good. This one, it looks like somebody did some blending, but they didn't quite finish. So that could use a little cleanup. But for our flow test that we're doing today, that ain't happening.
That's a run what you brung.
It's a run what you brung. That's right. And this old Holly looks pretty decent, actually. You can see the original rough cutter at the opening that was done at the factory, I'm sure. Overall, yeah, it's got a little chunkies in the manifold, but that's no big deal. We should mention that the Holly's got a cloverleaf plenum, and as we drop the gasket on top, you can see the cloverleaf actually doesn't quite clear, right? It doesn't quite clear the gasket, but will that interfere with the barrels of the carb? Good question, right? Everything else has just got the regular Holly-sized opening. This one's actually a little ovalized. Some of the bow tie manifolds had an ovalized, Chevy bow ties had an oval opening. And the tunnel ram is just a big rectangle. Okay, we got a Brawler 750 carb. It's got really nice down leg boosters in it. I kind of like them. Not as much as I like annuals. I like annuals better. But it's got a nicely sculpted radius going into the carb. It's a nice piece. I really like it. I mean, it's the first one I've seen. Rob says it's one of the cheaper line of carbs, but it looks really good to me. So we're going to bolt this on the bench, and we're going to, what I think we're going to wind up doing is I think we'll do a heads up between these two street intakes. We'll get the flows from these. Now, I don't know if I'm going to flow any more than just the single runner in the front of all of them. He did bring a nice Wilson spacer, right? Tapered spacer. It's a relatively nice design. I like, let's see if you guys can see the little ridges in there. Let me see if I can blow that up. They left the ridges from the CNC just exactly the same as I had Brian leave the ridges in this spacer he made for me. So I actually like that. You know, a little extra fuel prep don't hurt. All right, guys, we're going to get busy on this, and we'll see how much damage we can do.
Okay, we're all set up. Here's our 750 Holly Brawler carburetor. It's a double pump, chokeless. And we're going to be testing the Holly Street Dominator first.
Fire in the hole. All right, guys, I hit the wrong button by accident, but I wanted to show you how nicely this Wilson spacer fits this intake. This Holly Street Dominator got some decent flows for being a bone stock intake. Very low on swirl though. Until it starts going off the short side radius, it's got almost no swirl. That I think I would look at if I was driving it around on the street. But if you got enough compression in cubes, you don't have to sweat it.
All right, fellas, we're back with another little tiny short clip to keep things exciting. On this, we're going to use a little Wilson spacer, 1/2 inch for a hole. You know what they're all about.
Actually, I think that's a 1 inch.
One inch?
I'm 99% sure that's a 1 inch.
Yeah, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if it is a 1 inch.
Measure it sick.
We'll get a quick peek, see what Charlie measures up.
1.03.
Okay, there we go. 1 inch Wilson 4-hole spacer. See if we come up with anything different. Fire in the hole.
Fire in the hole. All right, guys. So I should write on here. This is the 1 inch spacer, tapered. And it is interesting what happened. Okay, these numbers, the pluses and minuses here, are from the bare head. Let's pull that up. Okay, you got your 810 ported, your 810 ported swirls. That's my first cut. So this is exactly as it is under the intake manifold. So we got the intake manifold boosted all these plus, 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 plus. Now, did it boost it a lot? Like 2 CFM at this point, right? Not a huge amount. And we lost a little bit down on this side. But overall, that is excellent for a bone stock manifold. Manifold has not been touched. Okay? The swirl is what it is. It's kind of dead. It's interesting how it changed from the bare head. It actually straightened it out. Okay, and then we put the spacer on. What do we do? Lose, 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 gain, 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 gain. The gains, were they huge? 2 and change. 2 and change. The losses, how much did they lose? 1. That one's 5. All right? And it changed the swirl a little bit. It's plus equals plus plus minus plus plus. Overall, I like the spacer.
Added just a smidge. Can't complain. And you know it's going to help that air fuel.
I always liked tapered spacers. I used to make my own. I have a tapered spacer on the old work truck. I got a tapered spacer on the Chevelle. And they always worked really well for me. I would make them from scratch because I like my design a little better, but that's okay. That's neither here or there. This is still it's a nice piece.